Yes, yes, yes. 3 years more bear market is coming up. I'm kidding. But that is what we see in the mainstream media. We see that Bitcoin has been nosediving, um, but they do not include a chart in which they show that Bitcoin is still 15k higher than the previous all-time high and still the best asset of the last years to have in your portfolio. And every upwards run happens with a correction. It goes in waves. You should anticipate on those waves. You should accept them and actually use them as a potential opportunity to buy the dip. And often those dips take weeks. So we just see the first downwards move. We're going to discuss what the levels are to watch, but we might be getting one more downwards move to maybe even 28k, 25k, who knows, after which Bitcoin continues its grind. We are not at the same stage at the end, as at the end of 2017. We are just at a temporary top with some consolidation, which has multiple reasons. One of those reasons that we might be actually bouncing downwards is the current strength of the DXY or the dollar in general. We also see that the interest rates are running up, and I do believe that we are close to the low of the interest rates in general. But the DXY showed this bullish divergence. I've tweeted about it, and therefore it started to make this bounce up. Short-term relief rally. During the previous relief rally we've seen in September, the price of Bitcoin also showed a correction, as we can see in the structure here. Overall, I think that the parabolic is broken at this point for Bitcoin, which means that we're going to have a consolidation period. Such a consolidation period could include that we're getting a new high at 45k, but just that we're going to construct a range-bound period. So let's go through the charts in which we can see that we put up the daily time frame, and we can actually define some very interesting levels that the market has to watch. First level obviously is around the all-time high, which is the weekly time frame as well. We also know on the weekly time frame that we have to watch the 21 weekly MA. Second level, 24k. Third level, around 28 to 29. And the fourth one we are already bouncing on, which is around 34k, 33 to 34. That is currently providing a bounce, so most likely we are getting towards that low for now and are going to have that lower volatility in general. Still heavy volatility as we have seen previously, but during the period we most likely get lower volatility. Then we can actually construct the lower time frames in which we can say, okay, we have those levels. We can also see what's happening on the lower time frame. What we see, critical level 41 couldn't break, downwards momentum. What I've been stating in previous videos is support has been seeing multiple tests, and in this case we had the third test, could not break the previous support, tested this level at 38.5, again lost it, broke south. Immediately dropped below this level at 37, and I said okay, the area around 35, which is this high, is something to watch, which gave a bounce. However, this bounce could not break through the previous support at 38.5, and then it most likely started to test the support again, in which we fell through. Next area reference point that I've also stated is the area around 33k, which is this previous high, which is currently acting as support, and we can see that on lower time frames we actually made a bullish divergence through which we can anticipate any further bounces upwards, or at least a range bound construction for a little while. So for now we are probably at the low. Most likely are going to get some construction that we make in higher low here, start to run up towards the next area of resistance, and given that we have had some support at 37k, this area here is the critical area to break through all the way towards this previous support at 38.5. So this is the area that we should be breaking if we want to have some bullish momentum. If that does not break and we reject in this zone, most likely we're going to have a support test again. And then the question becomes, how strong are we going to bounce from that support? Are we going to fall through and get towards the area we have around 28 to 29? Or if rebounds, is it strong enough to conclude that we have finished the correction and are eager to make new all-time highs? So the areas to watch for Bitcoin in itself are the areas around 33k. Are we going to make a higher low? And are we going to break that resistance zone between 37.5 to 38.5? If that breaks, most likely we're going to take the liquidity above the all-time high again before we are going to have any correction in general. But you should accept that those corrections occur, especially if you're an investor. You already know that there is going to be those waves, and these are actually great if you want to get a dip opportunity on the markets. So for instance, Ethereum is doing the exact same thing. So what we saw previously is we had to hold the 1100 area for support. We did. We flipped it for support afterwards, consolidated further upwards, took the high, and then you can see that the crucial breaker for continuation couldn't hold, and we started to accelerate downwards. The chart is a little bit more ugly than the chart of Bitcoin in itself, but you could conclude that if we get into this range, the area here is the critical breaker for Ethereum. We also have a critical breaker which is until now to 1150, from 1150 to 1180. These are the two critical breakers for Ethereum. If either of these two can't break, most likely we're going to have a further downwards move towards the range construction. And if you check the higher time frames, that would still be very healthy to have, as we just went vertical. ETH Bitcoin just saw a bounce, and if you check the weekly time frame for ETH Bitcoin, it looks absolutely great. But as I've been saying in the previous videos, consolidation is very likely to have on ETH Bitcoin, as usually that happens, which makes compression before continuation. And as my view, I think we're going to have a little bit more consolidation on Bitcoin USD, through which the altcoin BTC pairs remain stable, and then at a later phase when Bitcoin grinds, altcoins will start to outperform Bitcoin as money goes towards those altcoins, and these BTC pairs are going to run up. So as a conclusion of this small market update, and I'll be live tonight at 8 p.m. Central European time, everything is fine, corrections happen, use them, avoid FOMO and wait for these corrections to happen, and then step into the markets, as then you're getting your arguments to get into those markets. I'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. Central European time, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram. Stay tuned.